What up, crew? What's good? It's your girl Sade, and welcome to another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast. I am ecstatic to be here and to record this episode with you. It has been a busy, productive, amazing week for me. I hope it's been great for you. And if it hasn't, I hope that coming to this episode. Oh no. Ugh. What up, crew? What's good? It's your girl Sade, and welcome to. I cannot do this tonight. What is going on? Okay. What up, crew? What's good? Welcome to another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast, and I cannot wait to get into this episode with you. You know, before we start off an episode, I always have to check in and ask, how are you doing? How are you really feeling? If nobody asks you that today, I want you to keep it funky with me because I do care. And I want you to come onto this podcast to be encouraged, to be a better person, so you can operate at a higher frequency, because we got all the time to be better and no time to be wasting energy on not. Okay? So listen, let me dive into this episode because no matter how you feeling, I want to give you a scripture to start off and the section, who gonna check me, boo? And let me tell y'all, it is always God checking me. This week's scripture is coming from 1 Kings chapter 9, verses 4 through 5. It reads, "As for you, if you walk before me faithfully with integrity of heart and uprightness, as David your father did, and do all I command and observe for your decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne over Israel forever." The key things that checked me was faithfully with integrity. Faithfulness comes from a place of trust and loyalty. And that was like, yes, I could do that. And then integrity, it had two definitions. The definitions of integrity that I looked up, aka Googled, was the quality of being honest and have strong moral principles, moral uprightness. The second one was the state of being whole and undivided. For me, I felt like God was telling me to continue to be honest and to continue to work on morals. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that nowadays. And to have integrity, to be whole and undivided. No matter how I am on this podcast and in public, I'm going to be the same behind closed doors. I'm going to have integrity because at the end of the day, no matter what I'm doing or saying, it's either going to catch up to me. And, God knows. He sees what goes on in the light and in the darkness. And a lot of time, whatever happens in the darkness, y'all know that thing going to come to light. Okay? So this made it very clear to me that no matter what I have to do, I'm going to stay faithful to His word and have integrity at all times and in all things. Okay? So that was who gonna check me, boo? And it was God definitely checked me. And I hope He checked you in this moment. And getting checked by God is a good thing. It's a positive thing. It encourages us to be better and to know that we are solely depending on Him. Can I get an amen from the church? Let the church say amen. You don't know about that. Okay, let me give you this disclaimer before we continue the episode. The F-bomb will be dropped in the reference of the book. This is not Sade Hill speaking in her native tongue. I just have to give that disclaimer, y'all, because it's so funny. I had friends reach out to me, and not in a bad way. They were like, it is so funny hearing you drop the F-bomb. And still, I'm hesitant to say it because I don't curse like that. So it just sounds funny coming out of my mouth. But anywho, on this episode, we're going to dive into my aha moments that I received from chapter 2 and 3 of our book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And it's chapter 2 is titled Happiness is a Problem. And chapter 3, you are not special. Okay, don't get all shaken up by the titles, guys. Happiness is good and you are special. And I'm sorry, don't get all shaken up about the titles. Happiness is good and you are special. So is everyone else. Okay? Welcome to the special club. So in chapter 2, happiness is a problem. It's not that, to me, I felt like when I was reading it, it's like, it's not that happiness is not good. It's how we look at what happiness really is. So on page 30, in a section he said is called Happiness Comes from Solving Problems, it reads, problems never stop. They merely get exchanged and or upgraded. Happiness comes from solving problems. The key word here is solving. If you're avoiding your problems or feel like you don't have any problems, then you're going to make yourself miserable. Happiness is therefore a form of action. It's an activity, not something that passively is bestowed upon you, not something that you magically discover in a top 10 article on the Huffington Post or from some specific guru or teacher. And I have to add this, or person. I think a lot of times we look for happiness in things, people, places, when actuality, like he says, problems, happiness comes from solving problems. So I was really like, ooh, okay, come through and check me. And it also reads in the book, true happiness occurs only when you find the problems you enjoy. True happiness occurs only when you find the problems you enjoy having and enjoy solving. That makes so much sense. If you're, for instance, if you love your job, you're going to be okay with the problems that come its way because you get excited about solving them. And then after you solve them, you feel happy and relieved and it makes you want to go and do it again. For me, real estate is crazy. It's a lot that goes on, but I get so excited that it doesn't even feel like work. And I feel like that's how you should feel about whatever you do. And I think that's the concept and how we should look at happiness because there's always going to be problems. We should just be excited about solving the problems, and that is what is going to keep us happy. It can come down to the friends you choose, the person you love. Like, it's not, no relationship is going to be perfect, whether it's friendships or a significant other. The thing is, you have to love that person enough to want to go through it and solve those problems with them. To have happiness in those things, you have to enjoy solving the problems that come with it or them. I feel like there is only a happy ending if you work at it, and that's whatever it is. I love the point the author makes on page 35 through 37. He says, where is it? Negative emotions are a call to action. When you feel them, it's because you're supposed to do something. Positive emotions, on the other hand, are rewards for taking proper action. When you feel them, life seems simple and there is nothing else to do but enjoy it. Then, like everything else, the positive emotions go away because more problems inevitably emerge. See, listen, this is what I was saying. The person you marry is the person you fight with. The house you buy is the house you repair. The dream job you take is a job you stress over. Everything comes with an inherited sacrifice. So whatever makes you feel good will always inevitably make you feel bad. The gain is also what we lose. What creates our positive experience will define our negative experience. That big gulp you just heard, that's how I felt when I read this. And he clearly has this line that's, I love his sense of humor in the book. It says, this is a difficult pill to swallow. And it is. We get so excited about, oh, we're going to meet this person. Oh, we're going to buy this house. But all of that comes with a responsibility. Everything has a responsibility. That baby you're excited about having, that new job you're excited about getting, it's going to come with new levels. and new responsibilities, more responsibilities, and you have to embrace those things. And that's what I love that. And it goes into this section about choose your struggle. The real question is, and it reads on page 36, what pain do you want in your life? What are you willing to struggle for? So I feel like whenever you're making a decision, that's the question you should be asking yourself. Is this pain? Is this the pain I want in my life? And is this the pain that I'm willing to struggle for? Because if the answer is yes to those questions, then you do not have to worry about finding happiness. You'll be living in it. So yeah, I really like the fact of pivoting and really looking at happiness as an action, not just something that's going to be bestowed upon you. There's so many dope points in this book, in this particular chapter, about how we should pivot and look at happiness. And I highly recommend getting this book and reading it, okay? So let's get into chapter 3 that's titled, You Are Not Special. One of the words that is consistently used in this chapter is entitlement. Yes. And I had to go back and look up entitlement, and there's 3 definitions. But the one we're going to focus on is the belief that one is inherently deserving or privileged or special treatment. I feel like this should only be left and only during your birthday. That's like the one day where I feel like that definition should apply. But unfortunately, society has made it a 365, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day type of entitlement. Listen to this passage on page 46 through 47. It reads, it says, entitlement closes in upon itself and a find of narcissistic. Let me restart over. Entitlement closes in upon itself in a kind of narcissistic bubble, distorting anything and everything in such a way as to reinforce itself. People who feel entitled view every occurrence in their life as either an affirmation or a threat to their own greatness. This is good. Entitlement is a failed strategy. It's just another high. It is not happiness, okay? Entitled people are incapable of acknowledging their own problems openly and honestly. They are incapable of improving their lives in a lasting or meaningful way. They are left chasing high after high and accumulate greater and greater levels of denial. And ultimately, the underlying problem will once again make themselves clear every time. It's just a question of when and how painful it will be. That's the thing. So it's like, don't deny the problem. I feel like he was saying embrace it. And the thing about entitled people, they're incapable of doing that. So instead of putting ourselves through those scenarios and that pain that's going to come with avoiding the issue, let's embrace our knowing and acknowledging that we're entitled so we can focus on our self-worth. And one of the things he says, a person who actually has a high self-worth is able to look at negative parts of their character frankly. You know, some of the examples say, yes, saying this to yourself, yes, sometimes I'm responsible with money, to beat my own horn. Yes, sometimes I exaggerate my own success. Yes, I rely too much on others to support me and should be more self-reliant. And I feel like those are acts of self-improvement. What's the saying? Like when you go to if someone goes to AA or anything, like acknowledging that you have a problem so you can fix the problem. Yeah, I feel like our society suffers from that. And personally, I suffer from it daily. And if you say you've never suffered from it, you're lying to yourself. And if you say you did in the past and you're getting better, great, kudos to you. Let's continue to self-improve together, sis. So he acknowledged this issue of that we feel like, he acknowledged how he feels like this is a connection to society. And how we've gotten so bad at entitlement due to the flood of information that we have access to daily. On page 58, it says, the flood of extreme information has conditioned us to believe that exceptionalism is the new normal. Okay? And it drives us to feel pretty damn insecure and desperate because clearly we are somehow not good enough. This ties into the growing culture of entitlement. The problem is that the pervasiveness of technology and mass marketing is screwing a lot of people's expectation of themselves. It goes into being average has become the new standard of failure. Oh, yes. Have you guys realized, like, people try to make it seem like working a 9-to-5 isn't cool anymore? I don't know about you, but I agree with J. Cole. Girls with natural bodies and regular jobs are still winning. Don't let that social media shit fool you. That's honestly how I feel. And I know a lot of us struggle with, oh, I don't care about doing my job. But I want you to really think, like, do you really not like your job because of what Instagram say or what other people are doing? Or do you really not like your job because you really don't like your job? Like, I'm learning when I feel a certain way about something, I want to make sure I'm not being influenced by anything or anybody. I want to make sure it's truly coming from how I feel and what I'm going through. But a lot of you who don't know me, I feel like I'm at the point now in my life where I realize my life is not my life. It's all God's. It's his life. And I'm just living in it. And I just want to be obedient to what he wants me to do. And that's that. Okay? But I really like how he looks at how he goes into depth in this chapter of you are not special, and how society has distorted our view on being average. Because most of the world is average, okay? Not the Instagram reel that you see daily on your phone. So let's get into the challenge of the week. And the challenge of the week is simple. I want you to understand that you need to embrace the climb. And on page 40, and that the challenge of the week comes out of chapter 2 on page 40. Let me find it. And the passage that encouraged this challenge, embrace the climb, it reads, this is not about willpower or grit. This is not another no pain, no gain. This is the most simple and basic component of life. Our struggle determines our success. Our problems birth our happiness along with slightly better, slightly upgraded problems. See, it's never ending upward spiral. And if you think at any point you're allowed to stop climbing, I'm afraid you're missing the point because the joy is in the climb itself. Crew, I want you to go out and embrace the climb. No matter what you do, no matter how much you're trying to grow, no matter how much things come your way, when something is solved, there's going to be something else. And another thing, and another thing. That's just life. So embrace the climb. Don't fight it. Embrace it. So that was the challenge of the week. And if you want to share, I did it, Sade. I embraced the climb this week. I want you to come over to our Instagram at the Crew Book Club, DM me so I can share with the crew. Or you can simply email the Crew Book Club at gmail.com and share your I did it moments. So let's get into one of my favorite segments. It's Ask Advice. When you need advice, I'm here to give it to you. I do my best. And I want you to be so comfortable that you can ask anything, any questions, any scenarios you need help figuring out what I should do, sis. I'm here to help you and to give you the best advice. This question comes from our Instagram. It was DM'd to me. They said, was there ever a time you wanted to give up? If so, how did you push through? Let me tell y'all, it's so many times I wanted to give up, but I just knew I couldn't. And what keeps me going is my why. My why is bigger than me. I realize my purpose here on earth, which I feel like everybody's purpose, is to help each other, help your neighbor, and to help elevate my family, and just I'm here for other people. So everything that I do, whether it's real estate, whether it's coming on here on this podcast to encourage you, every aspect of my life is about helping people, and that's how I keep going. It's not selfish, it's selfless. And I've also just learned how to push through by appreciating the issues that come with whatever I do. Like the book says, like just embracing life, embracing the climb, and understanding that there's always going to be something. When I solve this problem, another problem may arise. Sometimes things goes absolutely smoothly with no issues, but there's always going to be something. There's always work to do, and you just accept that. And that's how I continue to push through on a daily basis. So that was ask for advice. I would love to answer more. Drop it in the DM at the Crew Book Club podcast on our Instagram, or you can email the crewbookclub@gmail.com. So I cannot leave you without the quote of the week. The quote of the week comes from our book by Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And it reads, people who become great at something become great because they understand they're not already great. They are mediocre, they are average, and that they could be much better. Yes. Now, crew, I want you to go out into the world and continue to be great. Thanks for tuning in to the Crew Book Club podcast, and I will holla at y'all next week. Hey.